Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I'm back with another edition of TechBytes. Today, let's look at a very common phrase we use in digital technology industry almost every day and many, many times a day. That's IoT, Internet of Things. Now, IoT may not be something which is very new. I know a lot of us have been working on IoT for the last many years. At least I have been working around this phenomenon for the last 17, 18 years now. But then when I meet people, especially who are not very technical, the first question is, what is IoT? What exactly IoT means? Definitions are okay. Internet of Things, uh, connection of different assets, which can transform data, which can transfer data to get some meaningful insights and all those. But as our tech bytes are for people, assuming they don't know much about science. So how do we explain to them? How does our youth know, our kids know what is IoT? So to make it simple, let me take an example. Let me start with an example which is used almost every day at our homes, a TV remote. We have been using TV remote for maybe around 25 plus years now. I remember as a kid, initially we didn't have a TV with a remote, but once we got a remote, we have been using remote for many years. What does a remote do? A remote is able to send a signal to another device, which is a TV. And both are dumb devices, by the way. They have no intelligence. So when we press a button on remote, it just sends a signal to the TV or whichever device we're using, telling that device what to do. And that device, when it takes that command, it performs that action. The command is in the form of certain software-driven or what we call a programming logic inside the devices. So two devices, two things which are able to communicate to each other without the intervention of manpower. In a simple sense, that's exactly what IoT does. When computerization happened, it did not happen for mobile phones or for TVs or for that matter any other device. The first wave of computerization was basically to connect different computers so that we can send data from one to another. And everything evolved. And then we started connecting printers to computers. We started connecting third-party devices like scanners. Slowly and gradually, somebody realized that if I need to send a command from one device, say a printer or a scanner, to another printer or scanner sitting somewhere else, we're going to use network. But does it really mean that it has to be connected to a computer so that computer can become an intermediary to perform that action? Because the devices are not strongly smart, or they don't have a programming logic. So that is where this whole concept of IoT evolved, which said, let the devices talk to each other without the intervention of any human or machine. They should be able to understand each other, of course, driven by certain drivers or certain logic or programs. And our last 10 to 15 years, I think we've seen enough number of IoT devices in the market all around us. At homes, when we use dynamic switches to control our lighting, fans, or ACs using our mobile phones. Or in your cars, when we are using the automation, modern cars, what they have, where they can look at all the data while they're running, and they can adjust temperature, they can adjust their speed, they can adjust their other parameters according to where we are taking that. And of course, in every other vertical today, when we talk of agriculture, talk of sensor-driven water management system, sensor-driven irrigation system, where a sensor set to an irrigation pump can directly talk to weather report and say, okay, if the weather is going to be very dry, I need to start my pump. And today we have IoT in almost everywhere, billions and billions of devices. And what the future is going to be, and that's what science is working on, we might have human beings having chips so they can talk to each other without even opening their mouth. through sensory mechanism, through programming logic, through software. So ultimately, for IoT to run, you need three things. You need two devices. They're dumb. They may be dumb. And you need a logic, a software, or an application which drives that communication. So today is when we talk of smart TVs, smart AC, smart cars, smart city, smart building. The word smart itself signifies the use of these IoT devices to a large extent, driven by software, driven by application, driven by some logic where we do not need a human intervention. And that way, we're reducing time to act, we're increasing efficiencies, we're increasing productivities. So IoT is all around us, and we are only going to see enhanced number of devices and things and everything around us connected to IoT in next few years. So as a layman, for me, IoT means two devices talking to each other in a language which they better understand, which we call protocols, to perform some actions where we do not need a human intervention so that we can be more productive, we can be more efficient, and we can save time and cost by performing those actions. The outcomes, energy reduction, time reduction, cost reduction, productivity increase, efficiency increase, they all contribute ultimately to financial gains. And that's what IoT is all about. So that's what we wanted to talk about today. Till next time, goodbye, and continue using technology, because technology is the only savior. Thank you.